Hello everyone, welcome back to OC Recovery's YouTube channel. I have a video, something I've been thinking about a lot today when I was driving in between my jobs and just kind of thinking about, honestly, this kind of hit me when I was hiking the other day. If you follow Rob's Instagram, I hiked another 14er on Saturday thanks to my friends, which we had to leave here at 2:30 in the morning. And Stranger Things 4 came out the day between, so I'm still kind of lagging a little bit of that. Slept like 2, and I honestly didn't even sleep because I was so excited about getting up that high again. It's so much fun when you're up there just because of the views. And I really want to talk about in this video perfection. I don't have a plan for this video. I'm just going to go with it. I think sometimes the best videos come in these circumstances where you're kind of just inspired in the moment, because inspiration and motivation is very fleeting. Fun fact, one of the main reasons why people don't stick to things because they forget that persistence comes from discipline and wearing the ups and downs. That's very applicable to OCD and anxiety recovery, but also way outside the recovery journey. That's anything in life. One of my favorite quotes I've been saying a lot on one-on-one calls, and I kind of turned it around, was boredom is not a reason to change. If your fifth grader came home from school and said they were bored at school, you wouldn't say they can drop out of school. Hopefully not. The same thing is true. Feeling the urge to make a change doesn't mean you need to make a change when it comes to OCD and anxiety recovery. Now, I want to talk about perfectionism and why you're not going to live forever. Death can be a terrific motivator, or it can cripple you based off your belief systems. Death cannot inherently be scary, since someone like myself has no fear of death. I have concern, but no fear of death, where a lot of people with OCD and non-OCD have crippling fears of death. This is not something that just affects the OCD population. It affects many people as well. Stops them from living their life, stops them from going out there and doing certain things. And that's really where we talk about the difference between existing versus living. This is the unpopular opinion, but I do think it has a lot of validity. A lot of people who call themselves homebodies, or they don't like to do anything, that could be absolutely true. I think a lot of it is the fear of going off the routine, the fear of trying something new, the fear of rejection, the fear of failure. The fear of failure has stopped more people from doing things than the actual act of failure itself. The fear of failure has stopped more people from doing things than actual failure itself. One of my favorite quotes by Denzel Washington, I think about this a few times a month: ease is a bigger threat to progress than hardship. Ease is a bigger threat to progress than hardship. You are not going to get anywhere in your life without hardship and struggle. This is way outside the OCD realm. I'm not talking about symptoms. I'm not talking about wearing anxiety like an uncomfortable coat. I'm talking about everything you're going to do whilst you're going through recovery. This video is not really about recovery. It's about what to do, in my opinion, what worked well for me and what I see holding so many people back in life. Whatever is going on in your life, whether you're struggling from an addiction, coming out the other side, mental health, the loss of a child, the loss of a family member, the loss of a job, understandably so, realizing that we have no control in our lives about what's going on in the outside factors in our environment, what people do to us, what people say to us. None of that actually matters. What matters is our belief systems about the events in our lives, our belief systems about what people say about us, making us either sad, and then these irrational beliefs bring us to resentment and anger. And then go to a prison, and you can see how many people those irrational beliefs land them in prison. So let's look at sleep. I'm not here to talk about the importance of sleep. Sleep is obviously important. There's a lot of physiologic benefits to getting good sleep, but we have overshot our margins on sleep hygiene. We've overshot the dire need to get good sleep. Go back 100 years. No one gave a flying shit about sleep. Not like we do today. We have more ease and comfort, which is understandable, than any other time in history. But it's kind of imprisoning people, isn't it? People aren't doing things because they're afraid they're not going to get 7 hours of sleep. People aren't going out because they're afraid they can't wear their blue light blocking glasses. These fears are crippling people's lives. You are going to die. You're going to die. You are going to die. Whether you have OCD or not, that fact remains imminent. unless something changes and Elon Musk invents the Neuralink, which imagine being the first trial on that one. If that goes wrong, splice into the wrong genes biologically, what a nightmare that would be. Oh my gosh, that would be interesting. So, if you want to go and travel, think about travel. How many people don't travel based off the fear of rejection, based off the fear of the unknown, and all these other things that are stopping people from doing stuff? Listen, you want to have sleep. I have sleep hygiene routines. I like a colder room. I like certain Tempur-Pedic pillows, and I like a weighted blanket, but I don't need that. I could sleep on the ground. Like, I've done this before. I mean, we just went on vacation to Estes Park, Rocky Mountain National Forest, and the fold-out couch I slept on was quite uncomfortable. And we were hiking a lot, and I was not sleeping that well. But it didn't matter. It's not going to stop me. It's not that I wasn't tired. Of course, like, physiologically I was tired, but your fear of being tired far outweighs the actual act of being tired. The fear of something can be more mentally crippling than the actual thing itself. And that is so important to highlight. I see it all the time with my friends. How will I get a good night's sleep? Yeah, I like good night's sleeps too, but you got to remember, you're not going to, it's kind of difficult to hike 14,000 feet when you're 90, if you live that long. It's kind of hard to do everything when things go wrong in your life. You want to take advantage of that now, and you can accept it when things go wrong. And if you were in a wheelchair and you couldn't do anything, I could accept that. I would try something crazy if I lost my ability to walk. I'm sure I would be that dude that's out there like pushing up with his hands, trying to climb and being like, oh my God, this is so hard. But I would at least try, and I think there's a major difference between the will to try something new. Another one of my favorite quotes by Reinhold Messner, a great mountaineer, first person to do a Everest summit without oxygen, first person to do a winter ascent Everest alone, first person to hike all 14 8,000 meter mountains, so 26,500 feet, considered the death zone. First person to walk across the Gobi Desert, 1,200 miles. Like, guy's crazy. And one of my favorite quotes by him is, I like people who do and don't chat. I like people who try, and try means there's an opportunity to fail. And he goes, most people don't try because they're too afraid to fail. And you have to break down what you're afraid to fail over. Is it the fear of judgment, the fear of rejection, societal rejection, family rejection? None of that really matters. Yes, it would sting, and yes, it would be frustrating. But just because you have a family member who, disowns you, you could accept that and get over that. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Different societies and cultural aspects make it a little bit more difficult when there's a tight family structure, but you can get over that. The next thing I want to talk about is fitness and exercise. So everyone who knows me knows I love to lift weights. I love slinging some iron. I love programming. I'm a big nerd. I don't talk about this a lot. Daily undulated periodization, proper macronutrient distributions, total calories, all the nerdy stuff that I really love. If you want to learn more about that, Renaissance Periodization and Lane Norton company, BioLane, two great companies. So I have a great friend. His name is Hunter, who's amazing. He's great. Who works for RP as a registered dietitian. He's hilarious, but it's what I notice when it comes to fitness. I saw a post today by a good friend of mine, and the title of the post was called, "Is Bodybuilding Healthy?" And they talk about the physical capacities of getting stage lean. And I mean very lean. Just to give you an idea, being stage lean is, see how your skin kind of see how it stays, like it kind of disperses? If that doesn't look like that here or on your glutes, you're probably not stage ready for professional bodybuilding. Okay? Just a fun fact for you. Now, is that healthy long-term? No. Most people who are pros, so my buddy who made that post, he's a natural pro. I know another pro, she's a female. I don't think anyone would agree that it's physiologically healthy for long periods of time. But let's talk about the psychological aspect. Look what's happening. Bodybuilders dying left and right. Bodybuilders unfortunately taking their lives. An Olympia bodybuilder took his life 3 years ago, who I really enjoyed watching. We have a major problem in bodybuilding. Social media, comparative suffering, have made people realize that having an aesthetic physique As awesome as that is, we all, like having some muscles. It's not the end of the world when, you have a little bit of weight on you. Man, I don't even know how to talk about this because I was so deep. And I do love I still run programs now, and I've gotten so much more lenient with them and missing things. And I was, timing all my rest periods, and I counted my macros for 10 years on paper. That was a problem. Do I think you can do it? Yeah. It's like, do I think, some people can balance alcohol, some people can't? I think for someone like myself, I think long term, it's hard to balance it for a lot of people. People aren't doing things because they're afraid to lose muscle. I have such a personal story with this. Struggling with body dysmorphia for so long. It doesn't matter if it's body dysmorphia or fear of being fat or fear of not losing muscle. Drop the titles. It's just a fear. What is the fear? The fear of being fat, the fear of losing muscle. That's the fear. The fear of not looking aesthetically pleasing. The fear of not being approved by females. That was a big one for me. I really liked the attention from females for a long time. It's something I really had to come to terms with because of my conditional self-acceptance. I actually have never said that on a video before. It's actually quite interesting. Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot lately and thinking about how, people are just repetitive. There's nothing wrong with routines. There's nothing wrong with running a program. There's nothing wrong with counting your macros. It's just the reason why people are doing it is usually so far off the scale of conditional self-acceptance. It's so far under this internal control that really can get people into trouble, I don't know if I believe this quite yet. I'm close. If I never worked out ever again, oh man, that would suck. I mean, no hiking, no working out. That would suck. But I think I could come to terms with it. I do think that. I don't think I've accepted it as fully. I haven't nailed it down like I've nailed down sensory motor. Sensory motor would have a really tough time getting me again. It would be tough just because of how much I've accepted that fear of being uncomfortable for the rest of my life in the regard of being hyper aware. But, the reason why I want to talk about all of this is it just comes down to perfection. Now, there's a major difference between task perfection and self-perfection. Self-perfection isn't real. Even if you found someone who did everything right in their life, everything was going for them. I just read it again. First round draft pick. I can't remember what position he played in the NFL. He just died in a car accident. He's 25 years old. Sure, he had everything. He had life. He had it. He was grabbing it. You just don't know what's going to happen. Look at all the things that happen on earth. Look at all the belief systems based on perfectionism and the emotional turmoil and physical turmoil that those can cause. I could have sworn my light just moved on me. Still a little tired from the hiking. Not enough glucose to the brain. But yeah, I was just thinking about perfectionism, and at this point, I'm just kind of just talking to all of you. If you're still with me, just kind of as a friendly talk. Not really I do a lot of videos where I'm like, this is what works, this is what doesn't work, this is what we see with sensory motor, this is the myths, but this is just a talk. Like, I just want to talk about what I'm noticing in society. Kevin Hart said in a great manner, he got kicked away from doing the Emmys or the Oscars because they went back and they found something he said 11 years ago. He's a comedian, he made a joke. We're living in this time period where people are so afraid of perfection. People are so afraid to go against the crowds. The herd mentality and the crowd mentality, you want to step away from that. Make your own decisions. You don't have to even listen to what I'm saying. I listen to things I don't agree with, whether it's socioeconomics, whether it's political. My wife knows I'm very good at this. If there's one thing my wife can probably admit, she knows I can engage in any conversation where people have differing opinions. I might not be able to hold my tongue at all times, but I've gotten so much better at accepting people and all this other stuff. And, it was not easy for me, guys. This took me years to really develop this as a philosophy. And this is probably the first time in my life where it's really upper. It's almost like, being a child believing in Santa. Like, that's how much my perspective is a part of me now. It's hard to even explain. It just is organic. It just happens. It's just transforming throughout my life. The way I see things, the amount of Stoicism I listen to, and I love Stoicism. There's great channels out there. Philosophy of Life is a great one. There's another one. I cannot pronounce it. I'll pull it up right now. Because if I try to pronounce this channel, I'm going to look real stupid. Alexander from the YouTube channel, I think, was telling me. Where'd it go? Einzelganger. Einzelganger. It is a terrific YouTube. The one right here from 10 minutes ago, I recommended. It's called Letting Go. Taoism for Broken Hearts. Again, we don't have to agree with everything that we hear, but listen to things that you don't agree with. Read books with different political beliefs, religious beliefs. Expose yourself to different opinions. Expose yourself to things that make you uncomfortable. I mean, wow, that's the fun part about life. One of the most fun things about life, in my opinion, is experiencing discomfort. Physical discomfort and mental discomfort. It teaches me something. Paul Whittle was just talking about this, He was talking about when you're automatically ruminating because you're scared, it's showing you something. It's like a blueprint, right? If you're constantly ruminating about something with intrusive thoughts, images, sensation, urges, this is now playing back into OCD, that's telling you something, right? You can't say for sure, not to trust your gut. Your gut's been hijacked and all that stuff. I'm just talking about, it's giving you a pretty good clue of what you're still scared of. There's no rumination for sensory motor for me because I'm not scared of sensory motor. Come back, hit me in the face full time. That shit would suck, but I could still stand it. I could still accept it. I'm not trying to delude you and say that I would like it. I'm not like, yay, sensory motor. I'd be like, no, sensory motor. I'd be out there hiking again, like saliva blinking, boom, boom. Like, oh, this is fun. I don't even know where I am right now. Lack of oxygen all the way up in the sky. So, but yeah, that perfectionistic belief system is just taking over in such a negative way. Look at your belief systems. Break down your core fears. This is OCD or not. Look at the things you want to do in life. Jade talked about this. Jade used to be, I had another person I was working with who would say to me all the time, I'm a homebody. I don't like going out. 9-10 months down the road, well on their way to recovery, guess what they're doing? Going out all the time. Hanging out with friends, making new friends, doing things, all sorts of stuff. I see that all the time. There's nothing wrong with sitting home and being a homebody. I like that. As eccentrically extroverted I am, I like my alone time. My wife knows. I went hiking in 3 feet of snow last weekend. 8 miles. My phone had no service. Not the smartest decision. It was a whiteout, but that was, holy shit, was that fun. There were some people behind me. I was like climbing this cliff. You couldn't see 20 feet in front of you. And these people go, hey, I was above a cliff ledge. They're like, are you coming back down this way? I was like, no, it's a loop. It's like another 5-6 miles. And they're like, oh. I was like, are you guys trying to go back down? And the guy goes, we're following you. There was no path. I was clearing the path. I was like, don't do that. Don't follow me. I didn't say that. I was like, oh, okay, it's like another 4 hours, which it was. Like, it was like 4 hours from that spot. Just because it was like walking through mud. But it was such a cool experience. You don't have to like hiking. I'm not just using this as an example. Think about things you want to do. You want to play a new instrument? Do you want to try new food? Do you want to travel alone? Do you want to start a blog? Do you want to read something new? Do you want to, I don't know. What do you want to do? What are you scared of doing? This is so important. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment down below, like, share it. Hit the algorithm, the like button. It's good for the algorithm. Stoicism has changed my life forever. Forever. And Stoicism will mean different things to different people, but I would say for myself, if you ask me, what does Stoicism mean to me? What do I take away from Stoicism and how I wouldn't say what does Stoicism mean to me. I would say, what do I take away from Stoicism? Meaning and suffering. Hardships can teach you lessons in life. I was listening to something today where it was a really cool, on that channel, talking about why you shouldn't learn lessons from hardships. I remember I was cooking and I was like, what the shit did they say? And I listened to it, I was like, that's a decent perspective. Never thought about it like that. But that's what I take away from Stoicism, taking meaning from hardship, looking at life for what it is. Remember, Stoicism is not about decreasing emotions, it's about regulating your emotions, regulating the far extremes, staying somewhere in the middle, being balanced, right? Like a pendulum that's not swinging too far from side to side. I like my dance moves. And yeah, that's it. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you're still with me. If not, you shut me off because you're like, this kid's annoying. And then we'll go from there. Have a great day, guys.